personal matter, I don't like the finality of a recording where somebody can hold me accountable.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
You know what
that's
I mean?
fair.
Because like,
This is for blackmail. This is why I do this.
remember back like pre-cell phone, you'd be out, or even when we first were getting cell phones, when we had flip phones and not really internet in our pockets, we would be at like a bar and you'd be having a social conversation and you'd be talking about something interesting and somebody like not could like technically swindle you, but they could tell you sort of false information without like being perfectly factual, and you just had to take them at face value. But like it was always an entertaining, interesting conversation. But nowadays, if I say like, if we're having a conversation at the bar and I'm like, oh dude, shark bites are up fucking 65% this year in South Africa. You hop on your phone and you look it up and you're like, actually it's 61%.
Totally.
You're fucking wrong.
Nitpicking.
Yeah.
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 And it kills the conversation because then people don't feel as comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
And it disrupts the conversation when people fact check like that. I totally agree, man. Don't worry. We don't fact check on this podcast. Throw on your headset, son, just so we can hear you.
I can hear me.
Sit down. Tell me your name and what you had for breakfast.
My name is Neal, and I had coffee for breakfast.
You didn't eat it all?
No, I'm not a breakfast person.
Okay. I don't know how you do that. When's your first meal of the day?
Usually around lunch, like 1 or 2.
While you're working?
No. If I have to work, I usually don't eat till dinner.
Seriously? You
Yeah.
fast all day?
If I eat during the day, I find myself constantly more hungry.
I think that's a common thing. Once you eat, it starts the process.
Right.
And then your belly wants it.
Yeah.
But you don't feel drained of energy.
Sometimes. It depends. You know, did I burn the candle too much last night?
I'm guessing you didn't abstain from food on the Alaskan cruise you just went on.
No. I gained 9 pounds in 12 days.
Oh, my God. That sounds like the classic cruise experience.
Yeah.
I want to get into that. You were just telling me before we go on, just to pick up, you saw Lynx.
Saw Lynx.
First one ever.
Yeah.
What was the vibe?
Elusive, quick, and just kind of scurried up like this, like glacier melt waterfall area and disappeared off into the woods, but got enough of a glimpse of him with his funny little fur sticking out of his ears. And yeah, this was at Denali on July 4th. And we were doing this bus tour up through the park because you can't drive yourself. And it was pretty cool. Anytime we got to see wildlife, somebody would point it out, we'd stop, get to check it out. And we saw grizzly bears, moose, caribou, willow ptarmigans, the funny little state bird that kind of looks like a quail. Later on in the trip, a couple of the family members went to a wildlife sanctuary because everyone was on the mission to see a moose, but we weren't seeing any moose, so they were going to go make it happen. Instead, Laura and I took a trip to the Kenai Peninsula and walked around in the tidal pools.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, like right at the entrance of the Kenai River where all the salmon swim upstream. We were about a week early, but it was cool. I've never seen a section of the ocean where the tide retreats so far. It's mind-boggling.
What are we looking at here? Did you take any photos?
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Yeah. The soil was really interesting too. So it's not like that beachy sand that you're used to. It was more muddy. And so every step you take, you end up like mid-shin in mud. I guess people get a little too crazy out there and end up drowning when the tide comes back in. But
oh, so you went barefoot like that?
Oh,
that's basically a mud flat.
It was like a spa day. It was the softest, like silty mud. It felt like you were getting exfoliated the
just
whole time.
Post-holing through.
Yeah. So we spent the day doing that, and now that we're home, we find ourselves really wanting to get back to that area and explore it more. It was really neat.
What'd you think of Denali?
Massive.
Yeah.
It's just thinking about, even nowadays it's hard to get to, but imagining the first people that ever made it that far out is absolutely insane. So I spent a lot of the trip like looking into like the gear that they used, because being in the outdoor tech industry, it's every year there's a new puffy jacket, a new type of layer, and
A new gimmick
a new gimmick,
every year.
and uh, the peak of Denali was when it first was climbed was done by men wearing like beaver jackets, and they were on a diet of hot chocolate and marshmallows
It's
and
amazing.
ice cream, and they carried a 30-foot long timber pole up there to hang a flag.
Do you think they were just tougher back then, or we're just wimpy right now, or we just are so driven by consumerism, we need to have the latest and greatest gear?
I think it is more of a necessity battle. If we were more reliant on our gear to survive, I think our gear would be better nowadays. But now we have so many different activities and we always retreat back home that you don't, I mean, without, counting the people that are doing expeditions right now. If you're going skiing for the day, your layers are more breathable to keep the sweat off of you, and you go home and retreat and you warm back up. But back then it was like, hey, we need to survive the night
So
and the
you think
next.
their gear was better back then?
I think it was more. I think there's more intention built into the gear to make it last longer.
Heavier, hardier,
Yeah,
not so concerned about being lightweight,
exactly.
probably.
Look at when Abercrombie and Fitch was an expedition company. It's all canvas, and like
They were
it's
an expedition company?
that's what they started as.
Oh, I didn't know that.
High end expedition.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. That's why like everybody trusted their gear. That's what they built their brand on. They didn't turn into what we knew it as until we were like teenagers.
I just felt it was like what private school chicks wore in high school or whatever.
Right. Well, they definitely catered towards a higher end clientele for their expedition gear. But
Okay, I didn't
yeah,
know that. Yeah, it reminds me of like climbing the Matterhorn in Zermatt,
yeah,
reading the stories about that when the first ascents. They basically had no gear.
right.
They had pieces of rope. Ultimately, one broke and people
Yep,
fell, and it was like this whole story. But these guys were just determined to get up there,
right.
and so they made it happen. I think
What is
mentally,
that?
it's determination.
Yeah, but I feel like we're always looking for something up there, like proof that somebody else did it first. Like have you ever climbed something just to like look at the top of it, or not only for the view, but to see if there's any signs that anybody else has done it before you?
All the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think there's something satisfying about being somewhere no one else has been, because in our modern world, that's so unique. Because back in the day, I'm obsessed with explorer books,
Right.
and it's so enchanting because we just can't do that in today's world. There's not a big undiscovered area to go into. There's not a big sea to explore. The opportunities for that are way less.
But we're on rediscovery right now.
Explain.
The Amazon. Or look at what they're doing with like modern day LiDAR, and they're uncovering like forest canopy and finding these lost civilizations that people had theories that existed at one point, but um, we had no way to get to them. So now we're like refinding things. The rediscovering is starting to get pretty exciting.
We're looking deeper.
We're looking deeper.
Yes.
Several YouTubers that like are focused out here in like the desert, are using Google Maps to go find like um, old like cave dwellings and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there is something to that. We are want to be explorers in any way our time allows us to do it. For some of us, it's just I'm on my day hike and oh, look at that ledge. I wonder if anyone's been up there. I'm going
Yep.
to go up there and
Yep.
imagine that I'm the first person to ever come here.
If there was no such thing as finances, it would be all I did. Let's just adventure around and look for new stuff.
Well, you don't need $1 million to do nothing, dude.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Classic movie line. What did you think of the bus system in the national parks? Not being able to drive into it.
It made me think of Yosemite.
Yeah,
Have you been to
a lot of
Yosemite?
parks are doing it now. Yeah.
Um,
Zion, for example. There's parts of the Grand Canyon that you can't drive to. You need to take the shuttle.
my initial visit to Yosemite was irritating in the aspect of finding a parking spot. It's like, what if you only have so many allotted parking spots? Why are you still letting people into the park? um, and that goes. I don't know. I like. I'm a I'm a personal adventure type of person. I don't like being corralled and cattled. But what was unique with the bus system is, you just ask to stop, and you can just go walk off into the wilderness,
They'll stop anywhere
anywhere you want.
in Denali or
Yep.
Yosemite. Really?
Yeah.
There's no official stops.
Nope. I mean, there are official stops that they bring you to, but you can the bus does in and out, so you can just get in and off whenever you want. They have multiple buses running, so you just stand back on the side of the road and you wave at it, and they come pick you back up.
Now that's cool.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in another park.
and it's not a dedicated hiking trail park, right? It's just open wilderness. Go wherever you want, which is a lot different than what we
It's very rare these days.
do down here, especially
Yeah.
being where we're located, with the effort of like, don't bust the crust and protect the ecosystem of what you're growing. Here in Alaska, they're just like, just go tromp wherever you want.
That's really cool that they'll stop anywhere.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest thing with the bus is that you go to a national park to find space,
Right.
to get away from people. And as they become more crowded, that's become more difficult.
Mhm.
And the bus is a big part of where it's just putting a lot of people in the same places. I get it. It makes the parking and the infrastructure and the roadways better, but it doesn't solve the problem of trying to find solitude. It actually makes it worse because you can't just take your car and drive off somewhere away from everybody.
100%.
But if you can just ring the bell at any random spot, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's such an Alaska thing.
Yeah.
That would never fly in like California.
Right.
To my
Well, and I think I'll never forget the first time I visited California, and we were on a hiking trail like outside of San Diego, and the hiking trail was paved, and there were like guardrails on the hiking trail. Yeah, like there's chain link like guidelines, so you can actually go off the trail. And you know, growing up in New England, I always had a sense of forest adventure, and it was mountain biking, rock climbing, going to find waterfalls. You just kind of just go and do whatever you want in the forest, and then going out there and feeling again kind of corralled. Um, you look around wondering why, but you realize again the volume of people. Like you, you gotta kind of babysit some people because they haven't grown up playing in the woods or playing outside, and they don't understand some of the inherent risk of some of these areas. This one particular trail brought you down to this like sheer cliff edge over the water. I'm sure somebody at some point maybe fell or something, and then all of a sudden we have trails with rules.
I know. It's one of those things because it totally changes the dynamic of the experience.
You're no longer exploring.
Exactly. Getting exactly back to what we're talking about. You no longer feel like, okay, I'm getting out of my comfort zone. I'm getting out of society.
Right.
I'm in the wilderness.
Right.
You're now like walking along a roped off trail, and you still remember that you're within the confines of this. That's a metaphor. The rope is the metaphor.
I think some of the beauty of getting outside is wandering aimlessly.
100%.
making your own choices.
That's what I do on the mesa here.
Yeah.
I just look on the map. I identify an area that
Mhm.
I want to go into, and I just walk out into it.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time on like Google Maps looking at different lakes, and we'll park somewhere and just kind of truck it,
Go
see
off
if we can go
trail
find it.
and hike to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. I understand if people go. I understand the point of a trail is to minimize the environmental impact in high volume areas.
Right.
But we still need areas where you can just turn in any direction and go where you want.
Right.
That's
It's a little different at like Arches after it rained than it is up on the mesa after it rained. The forest floor is a little bit more
hardier.
hardy.
Yeah, I understand. It's not as fragile with the crust. But this is why education, like I'm not in favor of, you should have to take a test or whatever. But like fire, for example, if you know how to make a fire and you're a thoughtful wilderness person, you know when it's safe to make a fire or not. Even in dry conditions, okay, is it windy? What's around me? Where am I building this? How am I preventing it from spreading? Am I going to put it out correctly?
Do I have enough water to put it out?
I can make a safe fire in a tinderbox. I know how to do it, and I know when not to do it. There's many times I've gone camping where people want to make a fire, and it's like, I don't think it's safe to do. It's like 30-mile-an-hour winds, right? You should just know how to do it. So there shouldn't be this, but because some people don't, we have to have a big fire ban. where in most of the places you go in Colorado right now, it's illegal to make a fire in the backcountry. That's the one thing that connects us to people millions of years ago, and we can't do it. Or maybe not millions, whatever, 10,000, 20,000 years ago,
Yeah, but
whenever humans
it's going to be the
started.
fastest way to ruin the environment for anybody in the future, right? I mean,
But it
you've
sucks.
seen it at these campsites as you adventure around Colorado. You get to a campsite, there's evidence that somebody was there before you, and they dumped all their garbage in the fire pit and thought that the fire was going to cook their aluminum cans. Like,
But that's lack of education.
right, right. So think about it like skiing. If you're when you're buying your ski ticket, you should know the rules of the mountain. Like I remember being in ski school as a little kid, and like before you even hit the mountain, we're talking about like etiquette on the mountain and how to ride safe. If you want to get your license, you got to pass a driving test to, make sure you know the rules of the road. And I think I think for some of these special permitted areas, you should have to answer like a quick questionnaire of like sensibility questions. Like, are you going to remove, precious material from this land? No, you should not do that. Are you going to start a fire when we have a fire ban? No, you should not do that. And again, like you said, within the context of safety, like you can make the appropriate decision. Is it the right time to do this? Is it not? Like we were camping last weekend in a fire ban. Nobody would have known if we had a fire. We had 30 gallons of water with us, and it was just a little windy. And we looked at each other and we're like, "Yeah, not worth it. Like, we're not going to be those people."
But if you did, it would have been fine.
Could have, could not have. Maybe the wind could have kicked up.
Well, it's up to you. Yeah, you would have had to monitor that. But how about this idea? Instead of making these blanket rules for the minority people that screw it up for everyone, why not just teach it in school? Like you have public school. It just goes, it's like everything else. Why don't they ever teach me to change my oil or do my taxes in school? Like all these things we should be teaching at a basic level, introduce kids at a young age as part of gym class, outdoor wilderness knowledge, like wilderness skills, wilderness safety, just something to make people aware that aluminum doesn't burn or that here are the conditions that it's safe to make a fire, here's not. Here's how to make a judgment call about whether going off trail is a reasonable idea.
Right.
It's not that hard.
No, no, it's stuff that we should be teaching. I've been kind of on a rant lately of the idea that our education system is wildly antiquated. You've heard my opinion on the idea that this is all based off of Austrian military leaders designed to get people to be good bell listeners.
Tell us again so we can.
So the way our school system was designed was essentially based off of this Austrian military leaders. It was all under guise to, get you to be a good factory worker, listen for the bell, and be just another worker bee. Um, our education system is in shambles right now because the same people that vote to defund our public schools are the same ones that are complaining that they have to go buy back to school books for their kids right now. Like, we should be focusing obviously in like elementary school to teach you a good, wide variety and baseline. And then as kids show experience or, passion towards something, we should be feeding that. Instead of saying, "Oh, Johnny has an A in English but a C in math. Johnny, we need you to work harder on doing math." No, feed Johnny more English. Like that is what he is interested in. Um, and I think that we should really focus on bringing back more like, you know, real world job activities in high school again. I think back to high school and like woodworking and tech shop and home ec were like my three things that I looked forward to. And they took them all away from us. And it was like, no, just go sit in math class. And instead of going to tech or woodworking, you're going to go sit in an hour and a half long study hall instead. Like, what? No. Kids are bored. And we're kind of not teaching them things that they need to know nowadays. We learned repetition to um, work on our memory to be able to rely on pulling back information that we had learned. But now we have information at our fingertips. So, um, you've probably seen a lot of conversations online about like AI making people dumb. Um, why are we not focusing on teaching kids how to collect information with non-bias and make like their own opinion about it? Instead of just typing in a question online and getting your immediate answer, you should be typing in several questions to build yourself your complete answer.
I think one answer to that question is that the teachers don't even know how to do that.
Right.
We kind of have to reteach the teachers to a certain degree. You have a lot of teachers that I don't know if they even know how to collect good information. Maybe that's a separate
You
conversation.
got to add the scientific theory into it, baby.
What do you think AI is going to help this or not
I
help
think it
this?
should. I mean,
Because this is a big conversation I've heard going around that how if we get AI to take over everything and then we get a universal basic income, kids can just pursue their passions and they won't have to be forced into
I don't
math and
believe in that.
English and stuff. It kind of sounds like what you're saying a little bit.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. But also too much free time gives Jack too much time to do nothing. Like you have to show passion and have direction to do something. I think some of the times in my life that I've had the most issues with myself is too much downtime. If you have enough time to spend with yourself and think about your shortfalls, sometimes people need a job or something. I think human nature is to work towards something better.
I think the reward system's important too.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing if you just have minimal free time and then it's like, oh, well, in my free time, it relaxes me to write poems. Fine. And that's part of who you are. And you can talk about it with other people who like to do that. But as soon as you have all day free and then you're going to write poems all day, but there's no reward structure for that or no incentive to do that. I could be wrong, but I wonder if people would like, where does the passion come from? Right? Is the part of passion is for a lot of people, not everybody, but for a lot of people, is based in the reward system. Like you're passionate about becoming good at this. And how are you good, quote unquote, is in comparison to others or not.
Right.
So there's something built into that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
But I don't know. The whole thing is a big mystery. Like, what is this going to look like? What is school going to look like in 20 years?
Well, I think the conversation of like UBI or, um, like AI robots taking our jobs is terrifying because it's something that like is foreign to how we were raised and what we were told to expect from life, right? Um, the creation effort behind humans to always, make it better and make it easier for the next generation. I would hope that it is, I would hope that you do have this AI butler that you can, you know, ask to schedule your weekly appointments and, um, you know, help you plan out your week. I would hope that, um, instead of spending money outside of the US on things that none of us agree on, that we could come together and have like health insurance. Like it doesn't just because you we didn't have it and we had to work hard, why does it have to be hard for the next person? Why aren't we making it easier for the next person? That should be always the effort.
In a perfect world, I agree. It would simplify the things that are laborious now. Like, for example, I remember my dad always used to say to me when he was young to send out a resume to an employer, he'd have to print out all the resumes that were even before printing, copy them all down, stuff them all, go mail them all, write out the addresses. Now it's you do it once online, you attach it to an email, you can send it to 50 people at a time. It simplified something. It didn't take anything away, it added.
Right.
So maybe AI can do that for a lot of things, like you're saying, managing tasks, helping you in certain ways. I think it's already helped me in a lot of ways. But it's a whole new thing that how slippery is the slope? And how much is it going to be used?
Are you afraid it's going to end up like the Disney movie Wall-E, where we're all in our little personal fat hovercrafts and don't have anything to live for?
Um, maybe some people. I mean, I think that's something to consider.
Well, there's all types of different people, right? I constantly find myself mildly envious of people that are focused on one thing, right? You know, the whole 10,000 hours makes you really good at something argument. have always enjoyed multiple activities. So like, and being in Colorado, it's really expensive to be in more than like one high end, you know,
Skiing,
activity.
climbing, yeah,
Right,
listen, rafting.
right. And
Yeah.
the time involved to become really good at one of those activities means you have to focus on that one thing. I have always found myself torn in multiple directions. Um, so I would hope that for people like me, um, we might be able to use these tools to kind of like designate our time a little bit better. Like if I could type in everything I need to do in a month and it could like build me a schedule, like a loose schedule, I'd be like, thank you.
Yeah. I guess it worries me less on that level of just it assisting us day to day. It worries me more for its use in like a capitalistic way. For example, one thing I've talked a lot about on this show is how airlines use AI pricing.
Mm,
So
digital pricing.
they monitor your activity,
Yep.
and I've watched it. You search for a destination, you go back, search for something else, and then search for that destination again, and the price is higher.
If
You
we
know, it's
both pulled up our computers right now and searched the same location, I guarantee we would get different prices.
100%.
Yep.
And they've even said that. The airlines have
And the
said,
more you search it,
yeah, it's not how much it is, it's
nope.
how much they think you're willing to pay.
Yeah. And so have you heard about this whole like digital pricing index that like grocery store chains are considering using right now?
Demand pricing
So have you noticed that like instead of it being like a printed tag in front of an item now, they're all digitalized?
in some places, yeah,
Yeah.
I've
And they
seen
can
that.
change the pricing per like hour of the day to meet demand of people coming into the store. Now, why would that not advance into them having a personal profile on you, which they already do when you type in your phone number? I don't know if you get like the coupons delivered from City Market, but like
All kinds of places, dude.
yeah, you
Yeah.
get your coupons, quarterly from City Market, and the coupons are based on what you buy. They're building a data index on you. They know what you buy as a customer, and they can like this. That is a slippery slope.
That's what they're doing with your club card membership. We think it's like, oh, I'm saving 50 cents on this buy.
Right.
No, they're just tracking everything you buy. So now they know.
But it's not just food. Amazon can do it
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
scary.
I'm worried about that.
Right. But
That's
but that's just something that we're newly introduced to as a society, and that with the proper legislation we can control. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, when's that going to happen?
as
Yes.
soon as we stop looking at things as a two-party system and work together,
So never.
maybe I don't know. Unity is kind of the idea behind the United States. We can come together a, on an issue and should be able to make a appropriate decision.
I hope so.
Um, there's a quote that I've been thinking about lately, and I'll butcher it, but it's the man that plants a tree that he'll never sit in the shade of is a man that I would like to be. Um, Leaving the place a little bit better for the next person, So back to like that fire ban, coming up to that fire pit with all the cans and bottles in it. Um, I think all of us can say that at some point we've walked by a piece of trash on the ground and been like annoyed by it, but didn't pick it up. That's somebody else's problem. It's just as easy for us to just grab that piece of trash and make it a little bit better. Even if it's not just for us, it's for the next person. I think that's huge. Um,
I love that.
yeah,
I think that's a great. I think that's a great tip. I try and pick stuff up sometimes when I walk by toilet paper.
not picking it
Yeah.
up. That one can land on somebody else.
And that one really confuses me. The aluminum cans and stuff, I just see that as kind of a good old boy drinking beer thing, kick everything in the fire. When people literally there's like
Broken glass. Like, why did you just go up here where you can just start smashing bottles? Like,
yeah, I mean, I get
it's like a teenager behind a gas station.
it is, man. You're right. I love that quote. He who plants a tree, he will never sit in the shade of.
Yeah.
That's a man I want to be.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, well, let's get back to your cruise. Tell us about it. You went on this Alaskan cruise. This was the first cruise you've ever been on.
Second cruise I've ever been on.
Okay.
I did a Bahamas cruise with Disney.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that because you went with your lady's family, right?
This was before I met my wife about 10 years ago for the Disney cruise. It's everything that you expect of Disney with princesses coming up to the breakfast table, and every single everything is, a la carte. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner is about was at the time about $75 per person.
Wow.
They drop you off in the port in Bahamas, and not really thinking of it. The first thing I did was went and did a dolphin swimming tour, and now looking back at it, I have a little bit of grief in my heart that I supported that. But this one was the exact opposite. So smaller boat, high end, Regent Cruise Line. Everything's inclusive unless you like really want to go overboard. And being on a smaller boat, they can, one of the greatest things of the trip was we got way closer to one of the glaciers than any of the other boats could bring us to. And yeah, it was quite the experience. I've never been somewhere where there's a dress code. Uh,
Well, hold on. So after going on the Disney thing, which just to bring up one colorful anecdote, my buddy took his kids on a Disney cruise,
yeah,
and he told me that the hardest part of it was like fighting other adults to get his kids to see stuff. Like there are so many adults on the Disney cruise that will like go and stand in the front row in front of the kids that he said that was like so mind blowing to him
right.
that the adults were more excited. There were people there without kids just to do the Disney cruise. It's just crazy. I don't know if that's in my future, but how did you feel about the idea of the cruise? Because correct me if I'm wrong, going on the Alaskan cruise wasn't necessarily your idea. It was proposed by your lady's family. So having been on the Disney cruise, were you like at first hesitant?
I was definitely hesitant at first. My experience with the Disney cruise was, they're going to charge you different prices at all these different restaurants with different themes on the boat. It's all the same exact food that they like just sloppily put together that reminds you of like a cafeteria. And it like I don't know, you know me, I like to cook, I like to eat nice things, and I was just like what are we about to get into? Um and that was not the case on this cruise. Almost every single restaurant on the boat was above expectations. Um
How many people were on the ship when you say small boat? Like 500?
yeah, like 700 people. I think it was like 740 people or something plus staff, and the staff ratio is like 1 to 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like you're sitting down at your table and you like put your iced coffee down, and like 2 seconds later they're like, "Can I get you something else?" You know,
High level
um,
of service.
high level of service. Pretty much every time you leave your room, they come through and completely reset it and fluff your pillows and make your bed and refill your waters and everything. And
Towel animals?
didn't play the game.
Okay.
No, but yeah, it was.
So what was your route? Where did you leave from?
So originally we flew into Fairbanks, went to Denali, and then down to Talkeetna, and then made our way to Whittier by car. Um, and then we got on the boat in Whittier, and then went down the coast, and finally ended in Vancouver. But went through Sitka, Skagway, Juneau, um, Ketchikan, and I absolutely loved the northern section of the cruise. Like we were previously talking about these areas that are very busy. Um, this was not busy. It was still very frontiery, and the towns are desolate, and there wasn't a lot of people. And as we've worked farther south towards towns where they're, uh, where people live year round, there's more economy, there's more people, there's more boats, and it was more of that kind of corralled fashion. It was, and not being a big cruise person, we got this, multi-page list of all these different like expeditions that you can do when you get to port. It's wildly overwhelming of like which ones do you pick, and some of them seem very similar to what you could do in the last port, and so um, we tried to have multiple different activities planned for as we were going down. And if I was to do it again, I would definitely be booking more of the smaller personal experiences that kind of drop you off with like a person with a career like yours, where you're on like a smaller tour, more intimate, um, and getting that, Alaskan experience that I was personally after. So the experiences of like getting to kayak around these private islands that are managed by the Native Americans and the Forest Service, and not seeing anybody else until we're done with it was epic. And then on the exact opposite end of it, getting dumped into Juneau with four other cruise ships in port, and 10,000 people walking into town at the same time. I think you you know how I feel living where we do. It's if I wanted to be in that big of a crowd, I'd live on the Front Range in Denver. And being out here for so long, whenever I do get stuffed into a crowd like that, it's wildly alarming. It's you're not comfortable. Your head's kind of on a swivel. You're anxious of like timing of things and what are we going to do, and if we sit down at this restaurant, are we going to get back on the boat on time? And if we go do this hike, do we still have time to go look at this? And um, I understand definitely why these ports have time limits of how long the boat can be there, but being in the larger towns, I feel like I have to go back now because I didn't get the time to do the things I wanted in
It,
some places.
it's good to hear the cruise ship offered such a more exclusive, let's say, experience like that kayaking and had a little depth to it and stuff. Because when most people think of cruising, they think of exactly what you're describing. In fact, in the travel industry, we call it ice cream tourism, where
It's pure consumption.
you get off the cruise boat, you go into the little town,
Yep.
all the shops are just catered to kind of be selling something, but nothing to steal your idea.
Mm-hmm.
And you get an ice cream, you walk around,
You buy your
you
trinket.
get your nephew a t-shirt,
Yep.
and then you get back on the boat.
Yep.
And you're not really experiencing that place
Right.
outside of the visual aspect.
Right. Well, it's like, we land in this one town that's known for carving totem poles, and there's a totem park that you can go walk to. But we were torn by looking at this old Russian Orthodox church, and we wanted to go see this old castle where the Russian flag was lowered and the American flag was raised. And we wanted to go, there's just so many things pulling you away, um, that were really exciting. But then as you got down into the busier ports, it turned way more into like what you're describing of like get off the boat, go buy your trinket, spend too much on lunch, get back on the boat. And I'm sure other people have completely different experiences.
What do you think? I was just going to ask, what is the perception of the people you're traveling around? Are they fulfilled by that?
You know, I think the group that I was traveling with, everybody had a really great time. I know I enjoyed it. It was great to, look forward to being able to meet up with the family several times throughout the afternoon and hang out on this deck and get lunch here. And, we tried to stay together in groups when we got off the boat. We did this amazing train ride in Skagway, um, which I would highly recommend anybody that likes train rides seek out. It was.
Was that up to Fraser?
I'm not exactly sure where. I'm geographically an idiot.
Okay.
I would have to look at a map to be like, yep, that's exactly where we were. And I'm sure Laura will roll her eyes, and she's probably happy that I remembered the majority of the places that we stopped.
I could see 100% how. I mean, I get cruising. Obviously, it divides the room in half, especially in the travel industry. I mean, it is a huge segment of the travel industry. And some people swear by it for a lot of the reasons you're talking about. If you go with a bigger group, there's something for everyone. Everyone's contained in one area. You can see a lot of places without having to move around, which to an individual travel may not mean something, but to someone with kids or older parents, it's good. It's very convenient. And so I get that. And in the terms of an Alaskan cruise, a little bit different on the Caribbean, but the scenery is always changing. So some of what you described in the beginning, going down these fjords, spinning in front of icebergs, you are, in fact, getting places you couldn't otherwise. Most of Alaska
100%.
is inaccessible by car.
Right.
So you wouldn't see that glacier unless you're on a boat or take a private plane, the small planes. So those things are extremely, extremely valuable. I think a couple things throw cruise industry into the pot, which is, well, one, like the hantavirus stuff, people getting sick, and how many Netflix documentaries do we have now on cruise ships? Like Poop Cruise, did you ever see that one?
Oh yeah. The
There's
poop lasagna.
the one about the Italian
Oh,
captain.
that ran aboard.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
on
the
Netflix
rocks.
now.
Yep.
So there's all these horror stories
I
of
was
cruising.
I was constantly aware of how many times other people's hands were touching something that was passed to me.
Mm.
And one thing that I noticed towards the end of the cruise was the staff dwindling. And I think there might have been like a hush hush, staff are getting sick
Oh,
and now
interesting.
they got to go isolate in their rooms. Cause like the amount of staff that were, serving people the first couple days versus how it was at the end of the trip, definitely a different ratio.
That's
Um,
people worry about that, and then exactly what you're talking about too with the tourist towns.
yeah.
Where the economy, parts of Hawaii are like this too, where you'll have the cruise ship come in, and it's just such a different type of traveler, and it's such a different. Yeah, this is like where the ice cream idea comes in. It's like,
It's people that'll never be fulfilled. Um, you know, so I think one of the things that I paid a lot of attention to on the cruise was in the northern towns that are completely isolated. Um, they would not exist without that boat coming to them. That is their economy. They're 100% reliant on it. It is a small season of the year, and they put their best foot forward to be as accommodating as possible. And as you got farther south into the towns that have year-round access and have their own economy, they're not completely reliant on the cruise ship. It felt like a different energy being in those areas. And it made me think of Hawaii. This has always been a contestment issue with Hawaii. They don't want the tourism boats there. Um, I think of like Santorini in Greece. I would never want to go to Santorini on a day that a cruise ship was there. If I was visiting Hawaii and I was not on a boat, I would purposefully plan my visits to certain areas when the cruise ship was not there.
it's a good idea. Yeah, it's interesting because I hear it from both sides. Because to what you're saying, the cruise ship coming in, it can be such a valuable portion of the economy, right? But then we also hear destinations talk about, especially Hawaii, for example, will talk about how they want travelers who want to come in and become a part of things, who want to learn the culture. And these ideas are completely separate. It is very difficult to say, okay, let's have a boat full of 1,000 people show up for 6 hours and then expect them all to be these really immersive people who want to try and learn the culture. It's just very difficult. So the two ends of the spectrum are at odds.
100%. And the the consumption rate of the people getting off the boat dictate a complete imbalance of affordability in the area. Because now you have the option to charge these people whatever you want because you have them in a small amount of time and they want to experience the area. And if it's going to be $28 to get a burger and another 12 to get a beer, they don't bet their eye on it. They're on vacation, they're going to do it. They're here once. Now for the local who lives there and that can't afford it, you look at it with a bitter taste in your mouth. It's like you'd rather have that person that you know made more of an effort to get there, right? Arguably, it is more of an effort to plan your own trip, fly somewhere, build your itinerary, schedule your travel versus just I got dumped off on the boat. Um, Explorer versus consumer. Um,
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because you had mentioned that you had those feelings while you were visiting these towns.
yeah. Um, well, I think it goes back to the beginning of our conversation, exploring these mountain peaks. We want to see that we're experiencing it on our own for the first time. Um, I think that creates a different traveler than a person that is trying to see as much and do as much as possible in a short amount of time. You know, it's a rarity if we are traveling outside of Colorado that we are going to be gone for a week. It's always typically 12, 14, 16 days. It's enough time for us to actually get somewhere, settle in, not be on some like strict schedule, and have a loose plan of what we're going to do, but kind of let the region bring us its own experience by just being there and talking to locals and getting a suggestion, and oh, I never even thought about that, but we're going to go check this out, versus hey, you got off the boat, you have 6 hours, good luck. And so what do you do with that 6 hours unless you already had like that extra activity planned before you got to port,
Which you have to pay for.
which you have to pay for,
Right.
usually a lot more than you planned.
Yes. Oh, they can be very expensive because it's convenient.
Right.
Otherwise, what do you have to do? You have to figure it all out ahead of time,
Right.
rent a car, get
Yeah.
a taxi.
Like one of the options on the boat was to take a helicopter ride and go dog sledding on a glacier. And I was like, what does that one cost? And I was like, oh, cool, we're not doing that. First of all, no helicopters. That's like on the top of my no list.
No helicopters?
No helicopters.
Too dangerous?
Not how I go down.
Okay. It's funny. They are pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Like,
look at Hawaii. I mean, you see it all the time.
I just saw a stat on that because I have a lot of guests on my tours that do it on their free days. And I looked it up. Since 2003, more than 50 people have died in helicopter crashes in Hawaii.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like that's
pretty good average a year.
That's like pretty significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they are dangerous, and helicopter pilots are notoriously wild.
Yes,
especially
that's
in
the
Alaska.
other thing. It's like I feel like these are the kids that grew up on dirt bikes that like they're like, oh, bigger toy.
Totally, exactly. Yeah, and in places
pilot.
like Hawaii and Alaska where the weather is so fickle,
right,
and there's pressure to do it because in Hawaii people sign up for it. They don't want to cancel.
No.
They can't come back tomorrow.
Right.
So we have to do it now. If we don't do it now, we lose our money. Well, it's looking a little cloudy up there. It'll be fine. And these poor decisions get made. Mm-hmm. So it's not a bad rule to live by.
No.
To stay out of a helicopter, especially.
And caves. No cave diving.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's at the top of the list.
So overall, would you do a cruise again? Did you enjoy it?
I would do a cruise again. But I would never. I personally don't think I would ever schedule a cruise for longer than like the 5 to 7 day mark. I was ready to get off the boat by the time we were done.
What did you guys do at night? Was this like a gambling boat, or
you could go gamble? Every day when you wake up after you get back from breakfast, there's this list of activities for the day left on your nightstand called the passages, and so you see the schedule of everything going on the boat, and you can just kind of choose what you'd like to do. Funnily enough, every day at 4:30 was trivia, and we found it like a great reason for the family to get together before dinner, have a drink, be social, because you can't have your phone out. So that was honestly like one of my highlights of the trip. And then late at night, there's always a different show in the theater, whether it was magic or like cabaret, or it was fun. It was entertaining. And, you see, everybody's going to think that like it's moderately cheesy, but my takeaway was like, I was impressed by the confidence of these people to come up and like demand, attention from the crowd and to do these things. I'm not going up on stage to do magic. Like, I don't care. Like, you did several tricks. I could never explain how that was done. To me, you are a magician. Good job, man. Like, that was cool. And like on the boat, they have everything for everybody. There's a running track. There's bocce. There's a putting green. You can go drive golf balls. Like, you can play pickleball, or you can lay out by the pool.
Did they have expert lectures on Alaska or the wildlife?
Yes. And so as we were coming up to one of the glaciers, one of the Alaska experts like just spent 2 hours telling us all about it, and they did several talks in the theater about totem poles and glaciers, and yeah.
See, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, traveling by boat is ancient. It's
Looking out the window, anytime you looked up, you could almost laugh at just what was in the background. Going down the coast and just look, it was mind boggling.
if I were going to do another cruise, and I've done many for my job, Alaska would be probably at the top of my list because to me, going on an Alaskan cruise was so much different than any other place I went
Well,
because of the changing scenery. You're in these deep fjords, these deep channels. You're on the Caribbean Sea, great, but you're not seeing anything
right.
until you get to the island. It's like, oh, there it is. Okay, you're just all the same water. It's not as interesting to me where if you're on the Alaskan cruise and you get a balcony, which is key. I think that is like the absolute key to a good cruise is having a private balcony.
My father-in-law was smart enough to book all of our rooms on the coastline side of the boat.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Like
now you're
that
watching
is
the
that
whole
is
thing
a
go
secret planning trip recommendation.
Yes, have a private space, get away from people.
Right.
You can drink wine out there.
Yep.
You can make out out there. You can
If
do
you
it
want.
if you want. You can enjoy it.
So you did the Drake Passage route down to Antarctica.
Yes.
Was that more of an open ocean?
It was, but that was to me just on a different level. I mean, I would definitely do that again.
Yeah.
But that's like a severe ocean crossing that has such history to it.
Yeah.
That has
it's rugged.
Oh, it's rugged. Man. And then once you get to the southern part of it, you're starting to see icebergs. The climate completely changes, so you're in this transitional phase that is really hard to get anywhere else.
Right.
And one of the things I was going to say about cruising is that for me, I'm really appreciating companies, and more are doing it now, where they're getting away from that carnival style with the casinos and more about let's teach you something about this journey, because traveling by boat is epic. Yeah. People have been doing it for forever.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing wrong with traveling by boat. It's this word cruising that gets a bad level because they think gambling, shows, stuff that people aren't interested in from a traveler's perspective. So on the way to Antarctica, every day they're having expert lectures just all the time. You can go to the theater and watch it. You can stream it from your room, lie in bed and watch it if you want. It's just all about education and connection to that environment.
I would say if I was going to book another cruise, one of the ones that came into my peripheral on the trip was the National Geographic cruises.
Yes.
Small boat.
Yes.
Really epic locations.
Yes.
Way more focused on that outdoor activity. And then I was reading about one of I think it's Viking cruises. You can actually do like an Arctic cruise with them and ski on glaciers. And I was like,
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty cool.
There's a company that operates in Hawaii, Alaska, and I think Baja California, Mexico, called Uncruise.
Okay.
Have you heard of them?
No.
So their title is they want to be anti-cruise, so it's more traveling by boat. The one in Hawaii, it's 30 passengers, and every day you're cruising between the islands, but every day there's an activity like kayaking, snorkeling, hike on shore. It's active adventure.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that I think the future of cruising is going to be awesome for. The problem too is like it's so extractive, the cruise industry. Like they're flagged with some random country. They don't have to pay certain taxes. They've been fighting like heck in Hawaii to not pay this new green fee for they don't want to pay tax
You've
on
heard
their
my opinion on that already.
Their people coming to shore.
Yeah.
It's very extractive. They come in, they buy their ice cream and they leave. And yes, there's an economic benefit to that. But I think if we've learned anything in the last 2 decades in travel, it's that be careful what you wish for. When you create a dependent economy, like that ship's going to come or else we're screwed. Well, now you're pretty much like whatever that cruise company wants to do.
They are now your oversight.
They're your overlords. Like if they stop coming, they know they decimate your economy and you're going to be, it's a weird situation.
Yeah.
I think of it all the time. Lahaina burnt down, that area, like the community couldn't even heal before they had to let people back in. There's all these examples around the world. Once you create that dependency, it's really tough to go backwards. And it may be good short term for the guy that owns the ice cream shop, but for the local people, for the local community, is that the best long term? investment as an economy, I'm
Well,
not sure.
this isn't even an issue that is limited to cruise ships, though, right? So, like, look at Bali right now. You the average person in Bali makes about $7 a day, $7 US a day, and they're surrounded by hotels and restaurants and businesses that they will never be able to afford or walk into, but they're good enough to work there. But what do? They live in shacks outside of plywood shacks outside of these multi-million-dollar hotels and restaurants that are serving Western burgers. And they just get to stare at them and salivate and be like, huh, that must be nice. No, but like, what's the answer? Like,
Yeah, it's like they're selling the idea of Bali.
yes,
Like you see the eat, pray, love
Tulum,
thing. Yeah, it's like let's go there and experience Bali, but you're really experiencing this manufactured version of that place.
right.
Most local Bali people aren't doing a yoga retreat,
Right.
or
And
whatever.
you can the same is said about, areas of Hawaii.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It's not limited to cruising. I think cruising just magnifies it because it's such amount of people at once.
Right.
But yeah, all of parts of travel can be that manufactured experience, which is why I love natural areas. When you go on a hiking tour of the Austrian Alps, you might stay in a place that's nice or whatever, but your day you're out, you're in the wilderness. Like this is Austria. The same people walked these hills today as they did 1,000 years ago. Like it's the same area, it's the same terrain.
But it's like an inclusive resort, right? Um,
Those are a problem too.
they are a massive problem. My sister-in-law Katie went down to Mexico with her girlfriends and stayed at a resort, and she said you're in Mexico, you expect to eat some tacos. There's not even tacos on the menu at the resort. Like,
What?
yeah,
No,
swear to God.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous, and it's a stark comparison to your last trip to Mexico, hiking into a village and getting to learn how to cook. That's
Yeah, I mean the experiences are there if you want to go for it, but most people they have a week vacation. They may want to go with friends who aren't as adventurous. They don't want to risk having a quote unquote bad experience because people have in their mind an expectation of what is good and what is bad. And if they hike into that village or whatever, it's just too big of a risk for them. They want to know exactly what they want to get, or they don't want to travel, they want a vacation. This is my problem. Like being in the industry, how much of a party pooper do you want to be? How much do you want to try and lecture people who are then going to look at you and say, well, easy for you to say, if you have a bad experience in Mexico, you're just going to go again next month for work. So who cares for you? For me, I got one shot for the year. So I get that.
right.
Like it's hard. It's
Well,
hard to,
especially with the cost of doing any
yes,
of this at this
yes.
point. Like so I talked to a bunch of different people on the boat, and there's definitely a demographic of people that were on this said cruise ship.
Was it older people?
Yeah, people that were that come from educated backgrounds and owned their own businesses or were doctors and engineers and lawyers and like and there's an age demographic to them as well. They're a little bit probably 50 plus and had done well in life and are paying to make sure they have that guaranteed higher end experience. Um, it's a little different than being on that carnival boat. You know, if you want to have a nice cruise experience, I highly recommend looking at one that is longer than 3 days and a little bit more expensive. It's going to change the demographic of people that are on that boat.
Yeah, Carnival cruises, you can go for 3-4 days for like $400, can't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know if those are all inclusive. The bar bill probably ends up being,
No. You get your little wristband and then you get your ticket at the end.
yeah,
Yeah,
here's your bar bill.
yeah.
It's $800.
Ooh.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was like the fanciest thing on the boat that you experienced?
I did an Opus One wine tasting.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was included.
No.
Okay.
No. That was my.
Because Opus One, aren't they like?
They are number one as
Really?
far as California wines are.
Yeah, it's like top in the.
So it's Robert Mondavi, who met one of the Baron Rothschilds back in the 70s. And they were like, hey, you know what? we should make wine together. So they set off on a mission to make the best Bordeaux blend with California grapes, and it is as high end as they come and more expensive than anything else on the market. And I used the excuse to myself of, oh, this is
It's a write-off for you.
yeah, this is
You're in the business.
I'm in the business. This is just good information for me to gather, and maybe I can learn something to bring back to my job.
So what did you think?
It was great.
Do you think this? I want to hear all your thoughts, like because there's a lot of people that think high-end wine's bullshit.
I mean, at a certain point, if you are making a quality bottle of wine, it's gonna come down to like personal preference of what is the best, right? The wine was perfect. There's zero problems with it, which is, you know, sometimes hard to say. Sometimes when you visit a winery, you are not happy with what you taste. Um, but the presentation of it is why they're charging what they do, and it's all about that high end experience. I sat down and they had a personal menu for me with my name on it, welcoming me. And it's like it lists all the different wines you're gonna try, and they use the nicest stemware they can get their hands on. It's a little different than going to TGI Fridays and getting that stubby, thick wine glass that everyone hates. Um, and it was presented very well. So it was cool.
But would you say like how much would that bottle of wine cost?
The cheapest one was $750.
No, God, dude, what the hell?
And I was like, yeah, probably not. Which is funny because if you come visit me at my winery, a case of our best wine is $750, and people look at us like we're crazy for that. But out of the 12 people in the room I did the tasting with, half of them bought wine. And I'm just sitting there going, I am in a different tax bracket.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to you, because you're an experienced wine drinker, was it that much better than the wine? Like
the experience.
Okay. The experience.
So if you look up their tasting room in Oakville, in California, it is an amazing piece of architecture.
I've been there. I didn't taste there. So when I used to live in California, my mom and I did a road trip up to it's Napa or Sonoma. Yep. And we were just cruising around and we recognized, oh, Opus, let's pull in there.
Yeah.
And we went up to the door and I remember it could be misremembering, but it seemed like this big, beautiful facade, like dark wood. I don't know what it is now. This was 15 years ago. And it was like $50 just to do an introductory 3-wine tasting or something back then.
Yeah.
And we just turned around and left. So
I was on their website the other day, and I think it's at this point somewhere around like 200.
200.
Yeah. To taste like 3 wines.
Wow.
A little different than what we do here in Palisade.
Yes, but okay, I get the presentation and the whole but like the bottle of wine for $750 versus a bottle of wine that is here for $50 or in California for $50.
Right.
Is it 10 times, I mean,
no,
13 times better or whatever it is, 15 times better?
No, it isn't.
Like
people argue against me about this because of the technology that they sell it with. So they pride themselves in using the best grapes per season. If they don't like the harvest for that season, they won't make a wine. And they have this like conveyor belt with a laser, and it scans every single individual berry. And if it doesn't pass the laser scanning, then they remove it. And so they're trying to use the best of the best to make their product, which we don't grow enough grapes here to have that luxury.
Right. You got to use what you got.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the volume of wine that they make dictate that they can hold these wines back. They can release them when they are at the perfect drinking age, right? If they don't want a wine to come out for 10 years, it's no big deal for them to sit on, $100,000 worth of wine for 10 years and wait to recover that money. That's just not an option here.
Yeah. To me, this seems to fall into your category of, which I wrote this down. It was I like the way you said it. It's everybody's selling something. Well, everybody's selling the same thing, no matter where you go, which let's table that because that's a good travel conversation. But they're basically selling nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's why polo shirts
750.
with a polo horse on the front of them are, more expensive than a white shirt with no polo horse on them.
It's kind of insane.
Yeah. Sometimes though there is a noticeable difference in quality of product though, right? Like the bike
Yes.
the bike you get at Walmart is a little different than a high-end Specialized.
Correct. But in something like this, where it's maybe there's some measurable quality difference,
Mm-hmm.
but that gap, like $12 bottle of wine versus $30 bottle of wine, okay,
That's a big jump.
you might see, but wine's so weird because maybe you like the $12 one better anyway.
Well, again,
But
flavor's subjective. People listening are probably going to be like, "Oh, I completely disagree. They make the best wine in the world." But like everybody has their first love when it comes to
I don't know if
flavor.
this show has any Opus One drinkers listening.
Maybe
If we do, right? Let's guess.
tell us your favorite year.
But I think that was also something you pointed out too, and maybe this was because you, or at least I assume you visited all these cruise ports and you maybe saw very similar things, but everyone everywhere is selling the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of, this even like, I remember Alan Watts, like the philosopher, British philosopher, talking about this. He's like, why travel to Honolulu? You're just going to see a McDonald's there. Everywhere's the same now.
Yep.
These national corporations and this idea of tourism of what it should be has just made every place the same. So you travel all the way around the world, and I have guests do this on my tour all the time. They come all the way to Hawaii. I'm like, where'd you eat last night? McDonald's. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And people are, well, it's different here because they got a spam thing. Okay. But anyway, the general point is that there's so much of the same in all the parts of the world now. One part of the globalization has made it less interesting to travel because there is less difference between places now.
Yeah.
And especially cruise ship ports in Alaska, I got to imagine you saw a lot of repetition.
Everybody's selling the same ulu knife. Everybody's, the same trinkets that you get in the Caribbean, whether it's a seashell that says, St. Thomas. They have an elk horn or a moose horn up in uh, Alaska that, says the town name on it. I'm a sticker collector. When I'm traveling, I don't have a lot of room in my bag. I don't buy a lot of random stuff when I'm traveling unless it's out of like necessity. Like, oh, I forgot my rain jacket. Guess we're buying one on this trip. But like to remember the places I've been, it's majorly just photos and maybe a sticker that has the location on it. But I'm not gonna rush into the port town and go buy myself a shirt that says Sitka, Alaska. Like I'm never gonna wear that. And half the stuff that people are buying at these stores, where is it ending up? What are you doing with it? Is it just collecting dust on your shelf so when you look at it, you can be like, "Oh yeah, that we were there that one time." I don't know. Like, uh, my effort of buying things lately has been a lot more out of like quality and necessity. Like, I'm trying to get rid of the frivolous.
I like to buy food now.
Yeah,
Like
really good food. I like to buy the best ingredients I can.
like when you go somewhere, buy the agricultural product. Like if they grow coffee, if they grow macadamia nuts, if they do this, that. That's such a nice thing to bring home.
Yeah, those cookies that you brought back, the purple ones.
Yeah. Yeah, the ube cookies.
The ube cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like fun to share,
Right.
and it's like something real from that place.
Right.
Not a manufactured thing. But this conversation is not to diminish anybody's experience.
No.
They sell those things because people buy them.
Because people buy them. Yeah.
So it's really
Well, and like the demand in the town, you can't have like, so there's like in one of the towns, there's all these cool little like Russian shops selling like Fabergé eggs and like
the dolls
and the stacking dolls and
Yeah.
everything. And um, my sister-in-law Kelly picks up this ornament that like looks all hand painted, and she's like, "I think I'm gonna get this." Then she like rolls it over, and there's a little made in China sticker on the bottom.
No.
And it's like, no, I don't think I'm gonna get this. But they don't have enough people living in the area to, I'm sure at one point you would go visit that town and you could get a hand painted ornament from like a Russian person that learned how to paint them and like grew up there. There's not enough of those people making those products anymore to supply the market. So, I mean, obviously we can poo poo it, because it wasn't as like authentic as we wanted, but like it's still a taste of the experience that people were after. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a way for people to support the economy
Yeah.
too by
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to purchase this trinket, not necessarily because it's going to be the greatest thing I've ever got in my life, but because it's going to support these people living here and
Right.
I'm spending money while being here.
But like, you've you've seen it in Hawaii. There's a major difference between the restaurants that are right on the water and the ones that are
Mm.
like a block up the street.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
Walk around a little bit.
Oh, it's especially in a cruise ship port, I
Yeah,
bet too.
get a
Yeah.
little bit farther away from the crowd. Then you are actually supporting that economy. You're supporting, that small business family, and or that's what I like to seek out. You know,
What were your overall impressions of Alaska?
Amazing. It made Colorado feel small, which coming from New England, and moving west, and you know the lack of tree coverage and the as far as the eye can see thing here is absolutely extraordinary. Getting to look at the landscape around us is a treat every single day. And then I got up there and I was like, "Oh wow. Like this
It's
is
wild.
wild. It is massive. Absolutely massive. Extraordinary. We were uniquely spoiled on this trip with what everybody constantly reminded us of as perfect weather. Like when we were in Denali, we could actually see Denali, and the tour guide was like, "This is crazy," like, and then we're like,
Because it was clear.
"Yeah," and then we're like, on that kayaking tour, and the tour guide's like, "This is the top 3 days I've ever had on the water." Like,
That's amazing.
yeah,
That's a good guide.
yeah. I know.
Selling it.
Well, yeah, it begs the question, like, how often, are they saying this to everybody? But like, the river guide said that. The kayak guide said that. The guy driving the boat to go whale watching said that. It was, you hear about Alaska weather. We packed all, like, we have the gear. We packed the gear. Didn't use any of
Was
the
it
gear.
was like 60s and nice?
Yeah.
Really?
There was one day I laid out on the deck out by the pool and got sunburned.
Yes.
It was like just under 70 degrees and perfect.
Those guides make me happy though,
Yeah.
because even if they're lying, then at least they're being positive. Some guides will do the opposite, believe it or not. You'll be standing in front of a waterfall and you'll overhear a guide being like, "Now guys, okay, usually like if you were here in the spring, you would see this waterfall twice the size and all this would be green.
Yep.
But right now, because it's dry season, it's smaller." And they think they're doing some great interpretation, but what they're really doing is making the guests feel like, "Oh, so I'm here at the wrong time."
Yep.
So basically, I'm seeing an inferior thing.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that at least the guides are pumping up the positivity. Was it 24 hours of daylight?
No. The dusk would happen around like 11, and it would go.
That's
It
a
would
long
get dark
day.
by like 1.
Like truly dark, though.
Yeah.
Twilighty.
Yeah. It would be like truly dark by like 1:32.
That's so cool. It's a long day.
Well, and it begs the question of like, what's it like when there's only 3 hours of sunlight there?
Yes.
It's a little different.
Have you ever experienced the midnight sun?
No. No.
So when I think it was the first time I went to Alaska, it was the weirdest trip because my dad had just passed away in June, and I had already been invited to go for work to Alaska, and he was obsessed with Alaska. He was an interesting guy. He never liked to travel or do anything. But when I started traveling, he was like vicariously living through me, and he got obsessed with certain places. And we always talked about how cool it would be to go to Alaska. And then I got invited on this trip to Alaska, and we kind of celebrated it. And then he passed away suddenly just a month before I went. And I wasn't going to go because of obvious reasons. And then I'm like, you know what? He would have wanted me to go. And we went pretty far north, and it was 24 hours of daylight. And it was a very special trip for me, not only because of the circumstances and just what I was going through, but it was the first time I'd experienced the midnight sun.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out of dinner at 10 o'clock at night, and it's just
And
like
it looks like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
you've had 3 whiskeys,
Yep.
and you're just like, wait, what is going on?
Yep.
And then I remember, because I brought a girlfriend at the time, we went on a hike at like midnight.
Yeah.
And it was just like hiking during the day.
Yeah.
And we hiked up to this overlook, and the sun sets, quote unquote, and then starts to come up again.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most bizarre thing. Sleeping was weird, but it was almost like you could reverse your day. Like there was no, hey, we'll sleep in. Who cares? Because we can go on a hike at
We got time to do whatever we want.
It was just neat.
Yeah.
I don't know how living I mean, living there for a summer would be awesome to experience that. The winter, the flip of the coin in those areas is that you get 24 hours of darkness during the whole winter.
Well, in some of those northern towns we're in, people don't live there in the winter. Well, some of them, but it's like a town of like 800 right now, and it's a town of like 250 during the winter. It's like the hardcore guys are like, we're staying. Whenever we were out in the sun, I kept referring to myself as a fancy flower. Sunshine is good for the soul. Like, we are made to absorb some sun and be out in fresh air.
We are, dude.
It's pretty crazy.
Do you need to go?
What time is it?
10:42.
Got a minute.
Okay.
So where did you fly into for your Alaska trip?
We left out of Seattle.
Okay. Yeah. So we did as well. And then where'd you land?
We went to all the normal suspects, man. I remember it was like Skagway, Juneau, Ketchikan, and then, yeah, dude, this was 11 years ago now for me. So
you got to walk down like the dock streets in Ketchikan. Those were pretty cool.
Playing a dock street, like you mean just like where the boat comes out and everything?
No, where all the old whorehouses were built on stilts over the river.
Oh. I don't remember that. I feel like that's every gold rush town.
Oh, absolutely. Well, even out here in Colorado too. Look at the history of Uray.
Yeah,
it was like, I think during the mining boom, there's like 110 bars in Uray or something crazy.
I believe it.
And they all were prostitution houses along as well.
Those guys needed to.
Hey, got to keep them under control, otherwise they'll just fight each other.
That's probably what it was about, in part.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Demand, supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Not quite selling the trinkets back then.
No.
Did you hear about Liarsville near Skagway?
No.
When you went? So apparently there's this area, I remember going to this, they call it Liarsville because it was the camp for journalists during the gold rush. And I guess the area was trying to get more people to come there.
Yeah.
So they were putting out all these news reports about how much gold was in the area and everything. And all these people made the journey.
There's 100,000 person boom up into, I think it was Skagway where they were all heading?
This was out of Skagway,
yeah. Yeah, so there's over 100,000 people that made that rush. And I think they only found 400 grams of gold.
That's why they called it Liarsville, because people would get there and there was nothing.
Yeah, so I guess the mayor of San Francisco just straight up wrote a letter to his wife and quit his job and hopped on the boat to go. Like, people were just like, they were that desperate.
Well, the promise of it.
Yeah.
If you went up there and struck it,
right,
you were, you were in.
Yep.
Some of the history, like there's a lot of good books about the gold rush in the Yukon Territory in Alaska.
Yeah.
Just wild times. And that's the thing. The journey to get up there wasn't like, oh, I'll just jump on a plane.
No, I mean,
this was a multi-month journey to get there.
Yeah, and you didn't get your own room on a boat.
Think of how mad you would be.
Standing space on a boat.
Think of how mad you are now when someone invites you to something that you drive 10 minutes to and it's lame. You're like, oh, why did I come to this? Imagine getting onto a friggin'...
And then you have to figure out how to get back.
Yeah, or you might die.
Or you might die.
You might never make it back.
Yeah. Whether it's somebody else getting over on you, or the weather getting you, or bear getting you, or mosquito.
You saw a bear, I'm guessing, up there.
Yeah, I saw a grizzly, like way off in the distance on a...
Those things are scary, man.
They're cool.
They're awesome, but camping in those kind of environments...
Oh, well, yeah, that's,
it's something
Laura and I have talked a lot about wanting to go back, and, we're like, all right, do we rent a camper?
I mean, you could do it. You just got to you got to have the education.
Right.
Can't sleep with candy bars in your tent.
Right. We have bear canisters and everything else in our camping equipment. And I guess it really made us kind of think that we're a little lackadaisical about how we camp here in Colorado. And I was like, maybe we need to reform some of our practice when we get back home.
Yeah, but we just have black bears here.
Yeah.
So they're cute and cuddly.
Yeah.
They're nice. Did you, last question, because but did you feel like Alaska was the United States? Because it's kind of an outsider state. People don't realize how far away it actually is.
Well, if you consider Hawaii as part of the United States, then I would say yes.
No, that's not what I'm at. Because Hawaii is part of the United States technically, but when I'm in Hawaii, I don't feel like it is.
Right.
I feel. Same. I mean, there's aspects to it.
There's nothing in the like forest design or the landscape design that makes you go, oh, this is something that is similar to somewhere in the lower 48. It is its own land. The thing that I kept in the back of my head the whole entire trip was $7 million. We bought this for
Is that
$7 million.
really?
Oh yeah,
The whole thing was 7 million?
yeah. It came out to like less than $2 an acre or something crazy. And then we stopped at this one place to use the bathroom and get a beer, and it was for sale for $6.9 million. And I was like, and it's on 3 acres.
That's crazy. That's such a great perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you bought into it, man. I'm happy to hear that. Those are the kind of things I love travelers to think about, like that perspective.
It was a welcome journey to feel I was somewhere new, like truly somewhere new. And I told you that I felt it was very much like the cold version of Hawaii. The landscape is very rainforest, very steep mountain edges with like, but like covered in mass amounts of vegetation. Um, I expected the forest to be more similar to, you know, places that I've traveled in the lower 48, but
It's wet.
it was way wetter than I planned.
Yeah, like your mud walk.
Yeah. Yep.
The fall is just gorgeous in Alaska too.
Yeah. We're going to have to go back.
Pretty special. Let's do it. Or fishing trips, the salmon fishing. Go up there, bag some salmon for our freezers.
Have to get a deep freezer before we go.
Yes, they're
Yep.
cheap. You can do that.
Shockingly cheaper than I thought they'd be.
Yeah. Did you get your AC fixed? Because
I
that was
did.
one
I
component
did.
of this.
Can't you see the smile on my
I
face?
do. I noticed.
Yeah.
Like, for those that don't know, you went away for what, almost 2 weeks, and
Yep.
then came back
To
and
a house that was 95 degrees.
and it's 100 degrees here right now.
Yep. So our house was 95 degrees for 2 weeks, and I'm trying to decide right now if my wine cellar is destroyed and I need a good excuse to just start opening the bottles.
To buy some Opus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to restock it with some nicer wine.
Apparently, this happens more than I thought because I just had a guest, I swear to God, on my last tour, or 2 tours ago, earlier in July, they went home and they sent out this message like, we just got home. What a great trip. But unfortunately, we came home and our whole AC unit had died and we have to get it replaced, thousands of dollars. So what is that? They just crap out?
Yeah, planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
You know, going back to that conversation about gear earlier, we used to make things a little harder because we would spend more money on the product to get a longer lasting product. Nowadays, it's just about having a replacement product at demand.
That had to have been kind of the worst kick in the you know what, because you're already kind of bummed.
It's kind
to
of par
be...
for the course for us taking trips. Like the
whole bill always comes.
The family was like laughing at us. They're like, it seems like every time we go somewhere, something like this happens to you guys. And I'm like, yeah.
You've had similar experience?
We've replaced most of the major arteries of the house at this point. And this is the second time for the AC.
I think you guys better invest in a house sitter from now on.
Well, if the house sitter wasn't there, we wouldn't have known this was going on. She called us 2 days before we got off the boat and was like, your house is 90. And I was like,
ooh, that's almost worse than finding out when you get home.
oh, it was like an hour before we were supposed to get these expensive massages. And we were both just like, I wish we could cancel the massage. But they would have charged us 50% of the massage to cancel it. So we're trying to relax and like get the massage. And then as soon as the massage is over, I'm like making a roaming phone call, trying to get a hold of the AC company. And guess who I'm talking to?
A robot.
An AI robot.
Of course.
And I'm like, can I just talk to a real human, please? And they're like, no, we'll call you back. Click. And it just hangs up on me. And I'm like, what? What was that? Like,
this is the desire, or one of the bad things about modern tech too, is that people think I'm traveling, I'll just like keep up with my emails, or it's great because someone can call me if something happens. But then, I don't know, would you have preferred just to wait to not hear before your trip was over?
Well, interestingly enough, I thought of you while I was traveling. And I wondered with like, when you are traveling to these locations, do you download like an eSIM, or do you sign up for like the multi-country options on your data plan with your cell phone company?
It depends. So I would say the bulk of my travel career, I have just had no service.
Yeah.
I just use the Wi-Fi at the hotels,
right.
But then when I'm out,
that's how I've always traveled. It's just been no service. And when I get somewhere with Wi-Fi, maybe a cafe, hey, can I get your Wi-Fi? sit there, answer my emails. Thanks
Exactly.
for the coffee. Hang out for like an hour. Move on to the next spot. Now it's like, oh, you can just have service all the time. It's going to cost you. It's $20 a day.
You can do like Verizon. I recently did it for my trip to Austria because like I was expecting some certain calls, and because I was meeting up with people, it would have been easier. And it was $100 a month for international
Sold.
service. So like whatever. So occasionally I've done that, but part of my rule of trying to stay in the moment of travel is, well, why do I need to have
Right.
like I'm not here to check email. I'm not here to have people call me. If there's an emergency, I can check it later. But to my point of what I'm saying is like with your AC, half the time that I check stuff, it's not necessary, but now I'm worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I didn't need to read that now. I could have read it 4 days from now and it would have been the exact same.
Yep.
But now I'm kind of taken out of the moment worrying about this stuff. Or I'm like looking at my fantasy baseball team and I'm like, oh,
Why
this
am I doom
Sal
scrolling on
Stewart got
Instagram
hurt.
while I'm floating through these fjords?
You have to just remove it.
Right.
You have to remove it.
So one of the things that always drives me nuts, especially camping out here, is we spend so much time camping outside of cell phone range, and that'll be us tomorrow when we're out near Crested Butte. And as soon as you get back into that cell phone service, and you can just hear it going ding, ding, it's like I don't even want to look at it.
Totally.
And I constantly remind myself that pre-cell phone, if you sent a letter to somebody, it was typically about a 2-week response.
Yes.
You don't have to have an immediate reaction and answer for it in the moment. And one of the things I try very hard to do when we travel, if I do need to have my phone, for say like directions, like when we went to Costa Rica, we rented a car and did our own thing. I downloaded all of the maps of the regions that we'd be in. That way I would just have them for offline use. You know, I would prefer to be offline as much as possible to immerse myself in what I just spent a lot of time and effort and money to get to go and see and do. And I think we've all been guilty of like, you're sitting at your house bored, so you decide to go to like your favorite bar and sit down, and next thing you know, you're looking at your phone, drinking your beer.
Stupid. You could be
Why?
doing it at home.
Could have been just sitting there doing it at home. But we're social creatures, right? Like I think that's what's really important. Going back to like that wine conversation, of people are looking for that social aspect of enjoying that bottle out in public. They could have gone to the liquor store and bought that $12 bottle and just went home and drank it.
Right, but the point before the phone, you would have probably tried to start a conversation with the bartender, with the guy next to you, but instead, the reaction for most people is just to pull the phone out of your pocket.
Next time you're hanging out with somebody over 50, watch how much easier they find it in public to talk to random people.
Oh yeah,
It
definitely.
used to be you had to stop at the gas station and ask for directions or be like, hey, do you know where this is? I watched my father-in-law do it like with zero concern. Just walk right up to a random person and just start talking and asking them questions. And like I remember when we were younger and cell phones first came out, I thought it was odd that my aunt didn't want to go knock on the door. She just wanted to call. And then it's even progressed past that. It's progressed past the call. Now it's just like, oh, I'll just send him a text.
Yes.
It's like, it's the cell phone isn't helping our social behavior to be more comfortable with each other.
And that feeling you described tells us everything we need to know. You come out of the camping, you come out of having no service, and you hear the ding, 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 and what do you feel?
Uncomfortable.
You feel stressed, you feel uncomfortable, you feel, oh God. And you had settled in. Like it's when you go into the no service, it takes you 10, 15, an hour, whatever it is for you to like forget about the phone, and then you feel good.
Yeah.
And then you come in, and we feel all this stress when we come back to it, but then we welcome it back into our life without change.
Well, it's just like any other thing that we have an addiction to, right?
It's an addiction.
If you do hard drugs, like you have to build up your tolerance. Like if you're a professional eater, you don't just go out and eat 6 pounds of food. You have to get to that point. Like you just adapt back into it. We've had conversations about this being like stage one of us being cyborgs. Like this is an extension of our body because we've been allowing it.
We are allowing it. We have a choice.
We do have a choice.
We have a choice.
There's some companies making flip phones again, but honestly, it's like even with the option, it's like, ooh. I mean, you've been off social media for a while.
Almost a year now.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how great it's been, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes in situations like these, we need to look at our peers. Me looking at you, I'm inspired by your behavior, but I'm also terrified to give it up too.
Well, here's the thing.
But I have been I have noticeably used it less, being with me noticing people that I respect making a conscious effort to use it less.
I mean, you just whatever works. You see, if you don't have a problem or if it's not negatively impacting you, then
it's a waste
fine.
of time. And what I have noticed? Concentration. It has made me more of a speed reader, and I'm not indulging in the information that I should be taking in as much.
People told me that, oh, you need social media for your job. I have more work than ever. People told me, oh, you're going to be so out of touch with your friends. My relationships are actually better because instead of just looking at your Instagram posts about Alaska online and then acting like I know something about your trip, you're telling me about it. I call you. I call my friends. I catch up with them more deeply. There's all these myths about, oh, if I go off social media, this is going to happen. Well, why don't you just try it and find out? You know, people are telling you this because that's their excuse for why they don't want to. They don't want to drop it. Oh, well, people tell me, oh, I'm going to be so out of the loop. I'm more in the loop than ever. You know why? Because I'm intentional with what I want to do.
Consciously making an effort.
Right. When I want to read the news, I go to news organizations. When I want to read sports, I go to a sports organization. I don't log on to Instagram to be like, oh, let me check the score of the game and then get sucked into all this other crap about someone's wedding or cat or the new animal. People are like, oh, did you see that new video? Oh, what?
Well, no, because the algorithm is based on what you like, not on what I like. I probably didn't see the same video as you. And that's what's, the beginning of Instagram, I think and Facebook, I think they both started off with good intention of essentially just being a fun photo journal or a good way to
an address book.
Or an address book.
Yeah.
And now it's more algorithmically designed to make you either reactionary or sell you something. The majority of my stream is things for sale or events that businesses are doing. It's not my friends in Hawaii. It's not my friends, it's a rarity that I'm seeing my friends on their grand trip. I don't know. It's just not the same.
Dude, it's try it. Whatever way you want to do it.
I'll take a little fasting session.
Just notice how you feel. For me, it's just been a lot more clarity, and
well, you know me.
I don't like to preach about it because it is what it is for each person. They have to make their own distinction. Like that, I didn't do it to brag about it. I did it because I feel like I'm better off now.
Exactly, and that's why I'm inspired by you, because it was more based on action than something for you to brag about.
That's right, baby.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks for coming in. Anything else?
Thanks for having me. I mean, if we had 2 more hours, absolutely. But...
Well, we'll have you back.
Cool.
It was great chatting with you, man.
Cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Yes. Now I'm riding the terrain, flying high up once again. Got my crew sitting healthy and my boo living wealthy. Level 99, never settle in my mind. So I pedal and I climb up the pedestal and find almighty weapon. So I calm, lightly step into the castle. Satchel, tackled, wrestled down the corridor where I'm grounded through the floor. Roundhouse into my core, down, out, and through the door. Sword down at my side, I gotta round up and ride. Face boss, break jaws till I take off. Face off, stop and swing my serious strike. This is it, take the title, disappear in the night. To the whole wide world. Got the keys to the kingdom overseas with the wisdom guarantee that my rhythm hit the whole wide world. Slay the boss in the castle when we cross final battle. Then I walk out, travel to the whole wide world. Got the keys to the kingdom overseas with the wisdom guarantee that my rhythm hit the whole wide world. Slay the boss in the castle when we cross final battle. Then I walk out, travel to the